Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you may be. This is Alan Holmes, also known as Master Connector. Welcome to the Master Connector's Corner. Thank you for joining us today, wherever you may be. Today we have a very special guest, as all our guests are very special. And today is no other exception. This is a young lady, Jill Lublin, who is a four-time best-selling author. She's an international speaker and a media magnet. And if I go past further, then I know I'm going to say something that is, I want to make sure everything is accurate. So please bring to the stage Jill. She's hiding somewhere out there in the community. Welcome to the Community Pay It Forward and Master Connectors Corner. Thank you so much for joining us today. How
I'm
are you?
delighted to be here with you, Alan. Thanks so much for having me.
Yes, ma'am. Well, as I was going over your accolades, the fact that you're taking time out of speaking shows me you're very humility, you're humble. Thank you for joining us. Oh my goodness, four-time best-selling author, international speaker. You know, you help individuals get your call to claim to fame, find your voice. Can you explain a little bit? Can we back up? Just kind of uh, understand your journey a little bit. With how did you have you always been interested in writing and speaking and engaging? Tell us a little bit about the story.
Thank you. My career, like many of us, took twists and turns and all arounds, but I ended up actually working in the music business as director of promotion and publicity. Loved that. Then opened up a PR agency. And then my heart's always been with entrepreneurs and small business owners. So, frankly, I started doing that. I closed the PR agency and started a consulting business. And now I run media mastery intensives based on my book, uh, with guerrilla publicity, and I run kindness circles with the Prophet of Kindness. So, like everything, it's been an evolution and a journey, and creating programs that work for the place where I am now, so to speak, and based on the different books that I've written. And I speak all over the world and love doing all that. And I think it was always kind of like that. It just looked different in different times.
Wow, wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. Now, there's that I've heard that there's a book in all of us, and everyone wants to go it on their own. Some of their self publishers. There's various different platforms. What would you recommend a person to do when they're just starting out? If they have that story in them or their voices you share, what would you recommend them to do besides getting in contact? And we'll get into that on how they got to contact you later. But how would someone begin their journey?
So, the biggest thing to start with is really your message. Like, what's important to get out for who you are and who you want to not only connect with but influence and impact. That's what publicity does, is it helps influence and impact others. So I would recommend that you start with your message and get clear about that. And that's not like, oh, here's what I do. That's about solving problems in the marketplace. Makes a big difference, and it really helps others to have value and benefit from you.
Hey, Jill, I got a really quick question for you. Our last guest was talking about marketing and putting together the correct branding and everything. Your message, the message that you portray to others, is so important when it comes to the marketing and the branding because if you don't use them properly, you can really do a lot of damage to yourself. Is that correct?
Well, listen, the truth is the media doesn't want to hurt you, so to speak. In other words, they want you to have a good interview, but the truth is you're not going to get in a good interview unless you have a good message. So I would say come out strong, so to speak, and know that publicity is an evolutionary process. So your message will change and shift as your products, as what you are promoting, as what you're launching will change and shift. But I'm not overly concerned about the media is going to drag you through the mud, not with most of the people that many of you are affiliated with.
Awesome, awesome. Well, yeah, yeah. Zach is our kind of resident brainchild. I'm just a master connector here. Oh, I see he, for example, put up the free gift. So there is a free gift without going into a big kind of secret sauce. Um, what is some of the gifts they get, maybe tips and resources, maybe just one or two you can explain if they when they connect with you.
You mean my gift to them particularly, or some good, shall we say, keys? What
Yes,
would you
well,
like?
exactly. Without giving the whole, because we want to definitely have our guests and those listening um, get a hold of you. What are some of the keys or some of the tips that you would like to share?
Yeah, so a big tip right now is, I love nationaldaycalendar.com. It's a great resource that's completely free and that I would suggest many of you connect to. It's, good for holidays and other ways that you can find out what other people are talking about. So I definitely recommend that. I'm definitely, if I may, I'm going to give away my free gift, and that is great publicity tips for how to get your message out. And I have a wonderful interactive live event with me. So go to jilllublin.com/guide. And I know we'll be putting that up, and definitely check those resources out. And I think it's really great to support your message, but also think about other ways that you can get into the media using, I like to call it everything you've got. So I have a woman uh, who is a wonderful business coach in communications, and we're doing great stories about how to communicate better in business. And let me just say, when it comes to Black History Month, because she's a Black woman, we do a whole change of story for how to be a powerful Black woman in today's times and communicate effectively. Well, let me tell you guys, that got her into Essence Magazine, Black Enterprise. I call it use everything you've got. So I really want y'all to think about how could you use different parts of who you are so that you get a lot more message.
Wow, and as I see, I'm looking at your website here is showcasing it. With this part of the website, the difference between publicity and advertising, and that's maybe a good question to ask Jill, because a lot of the our listening audience, some of them are just starting out, some of them are beginning, and congratulations on, by the way, on that young lady's success in the magazine. What is the difference between publicity and advertising?
Yeah,
Again, without giving the whole secret sauce.
yeah, and it's a great question because with advertising, the truth is that you pay for it basically, so you can control it more. It's easier. That's all good. But realistically, with publicity, your expertise is so elevated. It's earned media. The impact and the credibility is actually far greater. The braggability, of course, is forever because you can say you've been featured in. Like I've been in Forbes magazine and Inc. magazine twice. That's powerful publicity. I've been on Fox News when Prophet of Kindness came out 7 times. That's, impactful, right? Every podcast, everything matters, my friends, and everything counts with publicity. And particularly it has a trust factor that makes a huge difference because people have seen you, heard of you, and it's not advertising. And let me just say, social media, forget about it. I mean, it's a one-hit wonder. I'm not saying it's not important. It is important, but it certainly won't get you the mileage and the leverage that publicity does.
Wow, wow, what a golden mic drop. That is a incredible thing. And um, can you share a little bit more of when someone is in their space and they're trying to get their message, how is it recommended to kind of keep a sense of your personal side and the business side, or is it a combination? I think that I saw some like what said business is personal, so I'm not sure how would a person really get to understand, because a lot of people are afraid of the camera, or they're afraid of getting out there. But it just with some of the tips that you shared so far, like you say, get the message out and let it, and it's going to be evolutionary process as you shared.
Yes, and it is an evolutionary process, and I think you start where you start. The truth is, all of you are ready for publicity. And, maybe it won't be the New York Times or Fox News or your local ABC, NBC, CBS TV and radio affiliates. Maybe you start small locally, and I think that that's really helpful. Art. It's a beautiful thing, and then build it. I've had the blessing and privilege of working with Mark Victor Hansen from Chicken Soup for the Soul and Jack Canfield. And one of the things, he said to me was Chicken Soup for the Soul got famous because of the power of publicity. And they started with tiny little, outlets and small little radio stations in places of the country that maybe you've never heard of before, but the point is that they kept saying yes to publicity. So you start wherever you start, it's perfect. And you start with whatever you're comfortable with, it's terrific. If you want to write articles, if you want to get on blogs first, and then you turn your cameras on, and then move into podcasting, and you start wherever you start. That's the point. But without publicity, a terrible thing happens. Nothing. That's what P.T. Barnum said, Mr. Circus. And that's so true. So start wherever you start with what you're comfortable with, and then you keep moving into next steps. You kind of keep stepping up the ladder. And your confidence will get good. And you know what I've noticed in working with thousands of people in my media mastery intensives is that when your message is in you, like resonant and congruent, your confidence will go up. So it's about a practice. It's about practicing. I hope that makes sense.
Oh, absolutely. No, and that does make sense. Now, there are certain groups and organizations, and one that is very dear to myself, and definitely dear to Zach and the Master Connections, and of course, Community Pay It Forward here, who's allowed the Master Connections to happen, is actually through groups. And I just kind of want to touch base on each one of them real quick and ask you, the veterans community, the disability community, which is a huge market, and of course the nonprofits. How much of those two groups, or maybe we can start with one, the veterans. When you reached out to them, and how does the veterans community get their message out when there's so much information out there, and you want to make sure you want to get the right message and understand with the veterans, for example, and then next, of course, the disability community, and then of course finally the nonprofits.
So I've had a number of veterans clients. Here's the good news. Obviously, November is Veterans Awareness, the whole piece there. So there's lots of wonderful publicity you can do. And the military has tremendous amounts of media, radio, magazines, all kinds of opportunities to get your word out there. That's super great. So that's excellent. As far as disability, I actually had a comedy troupe one time we called the Stand Up, Sit Down comedy troupe because, frankly, all of them were disabled. And we got so much publicity by finding, I call it pushing the right button, right? And the media reception was tremendous. And again, there are disability specialty, whether it's podcasts, and there's a big magazine too. So, what's nice about these areas, and guess what, in nonprofit, listen, I taught nonprofit publicity. Here's my key: publicity is publicity is publicity, right? So if we're operating toward veterans, you want to go for that. If you're doing nonprofit publicity, you want to find the right message that that is the kind of the pull in the net that will pull in people. Like right now, I'm actually hired by a nonprofit that is a farm sanctuary, right? They save farm animals. It's very sweet. It's very special, and we're creating a story around that, so that they people are more sensitive to the plight of farm animals. So same thing with whatever you are into, with whatever you're promoting, you're finding, shall we say, a ticket in to what are other people thinking about, right? What's kind of like what's in it for them, the viewer, the listener, the reader, and you speak to that. And when you do that, you're going to be very successful in publicity.
Wow.
Hey Jill, I know that you do a couple things on social media. You're not talking about it, but you do run a couple webinars. I know that you run one 3-day training, and then you also run a 4-hour training. Would you like to talk about those a little bit?
Well, actually, I'd love to send people. I run a publicity challenge, and if you go to jilllublin.com/guide, it actually pops up with my wonderful challenge that I do, and that's 1 hour a day, and it's live and interactive with me. I'm going to give you a topic a day. So that's super great. A topic a day to actually get your publicity done in 1 hour, super fun, interactive, live with me. So you also get to ask me great questions. And that's at jilllublin.com/guide.
Wow. Yeah, that is a ton of tips and nuggets and everything else. And you've opened up a lot of eyes for those that are listening. Um, that has helped. There's so much with the community pay it forward. Who's again, not to plug that a little bit. The fact that you come on and support with the nonprofits, and you have the experience and the publicity and advertising and tips and so much to plug in. But I want to thank you for stopping by. And before we say goodbye to the listening audience, I know that Zach always has another final word to share or to ask, because he is such a integral part in my life as a master connector in the Master Connectors Corner. So I want to ask him, do you have any other final question for this great international speaker and guide and tips
Yeah,
connoisseur?
Yeah, Jill, I just want to thank you so very much for joining us today. But I like to always ask people, if you would you please shout out? We've been talking about nonprofits. We've been talking about how to help people. If there's one or two organizations out there that you would really like to shout out and give them a little bit of credit, can you please do that now? And how can people get a hold of them to help them spread the word and allow people to understand the great work that they're doing?
Oh, thank you. Well, let's do charliesacres.org. Charliesacres.org. I love them. I love the work they're doing, and it's such a beautiful place. And, I think that's a great thing. I'm a big proponent of the Humane Societies and their national organization, Saving Animals. Can you tell I've got a soft spot for animals? So I think that's a really good organization, and I like Finca, FINCA. It helps women with micro businesses all around the world so that they can be prosperous in countries that are difficult to do that.
Wow. Oh, every time I, it's have this Master Connect, this corner. We go by. It's not about me. It's about we. And those three organizations you just mentioned definitely will get. We want to share and support the 110%. Jill, thank you so much for stopping by and again being part of it. Any other closing arguments or not argument? Let me change the word. Closing. Any closing remarks that you want to share with and again, how to get a hold of you is definitely joelublin.com. But any other way or any social media connections, or do you want to follow you?
I love people going to joelublin.com/guide. And yes, you can find me, of course, all over social media, but let's direct you there because there's a lot of great resources and great opportunities for you to interact and get more education and support in getting your name out there. And really, what I want to leave you all with is this. Number one, I'm delighted to be here with all of you, and I hope that I've been of value and benefit, and also to know that your message matters. Thank
Wow.
you for having me.
With that said, I want to leave that on a positive. Your message matter from Jill Lublin herself, joelublin.com. Thank you so much for being part of the Master Connectors Corner and supported by Community Pay It Forward. You really were humbled. We're honored.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.